What is good, everyone? I'm Forrest Walker, and hello from Istanbul, Turkey. So, since I'm about to be leaving Istanbul here pretty soon, I wanted to cover one more photo walk talk before I'm out of here. Last month, I started the series when I covered the neighborhood of Eminönü, which is like the classic photo walk here in Istanbul. But this time I wanted to cover a different atmosphere for a photo walk, but equally as interesting for photography. But before I let you know where we're going, really, let me give you a quick synopsis of what a photo walk talk is. It's basically my twist on the photo walk videos that other people do, but instead of going out on the walk with me, we're more going to come back and focus on the photos from the walk. And from there, I can give you kind of an idea of the walk, where I went, share some photos visually and give you context so you know the walk. So if you're ever in Istanbul, you can come do it. But really, what it's about is focusing on the photos and learning from them. So I selected around 20 photos where I can share different insights. I'm going to kind of critique them off the top of my head with you so you get kind of an idea of how I look at photos and how I learn from them, because really learning from your photos or even learning from other people's photos is one of the best ways to get better. I'm going to give you a little more detail when we get into my computer and go through the photos, but let me also tell you a little bit about where we're going, and that is Tarlabaşı. It's a neighborhood here in Istanbul near Taksim Square. It's a well-known neighborhood. It's kind of known as Istanbul's oldest slum. Way back in the 60s, it got this reputation. It was low-income rent. A lot of immigrants came there, and you have a mix of Kurdish, Romani population, Syrian, Turkish too, of course, and then actually more recently, a lot of African immigrants. So you have a big mix of diversity, but it's also a very old neighborhood, which adds a ton of character. The buildings are kind of crumbling. It's one of those postcard types of neighborhoods in Istanbul that you might see, where the colorful clothes are hanging up to dry overhead and on the walls. Kids are playing in the streets. Women are scrubbing the carpets and cleaning them. It's just a great place for photography. But what keeps a lot of people away is its reputation isn't the best. And there is some good reason for that. It is kind of a place for drug trade. And you will see some younger men on the side of the walls in a few places. Don't take photos of them. But other than that, you can take photos here. I mean, like I said, kids are running around, families everywhere. It's a very local atmosphere near Taksim Square. So it's just a great place for photos. It's definitely more challenging than where we went before in Eminönü or any touristic area, because it's not too touristic. But so you will get like some no's, and you do have to be more observant. And it's a little more challenging, but it's worth it, and I would definitely come here for photos. It also has one of the best bazaars in Istanbul. It's a very well-known bazaar, the Tarlabaşı Sunday Market or Sunday Bazaar. It's a great place. I mean, Istanbul is known for its bazaars. You have the Grand Bazaar, but this is a very local bazaar, a local feeling. It's big. Tarlabaşı is on a hill, built on a hill like a lot of neighborhoods are in Istanbul. So you're going up and down these steep hills, and they're just covered with stands and market stands. It's just a great atmosphere for photos. So if you're going to come to Tarlabaşı just one day, make it Sunday. For this photo walk talk, we're actually taking from a photo walk I did on a Sunday. So you're going to see that market atmosphere and all the activity. But I go all around. I explore all around. And when it comes to markets, that's really something that I always recommend. Markets are a popular place for photographers, but really you don't get that many great photos at the market. For me, at least, I think the best place is to go to the markets, shoot the market some, but then explore the outside areas. So let's get into it. We're going to go into my computer now. I'm going to explain a little bit more. Then we're going to get into the photos. Then we're going to come back, and I'm going to recap it all off and share some more information about an upcoming video too. So let's go into my computer now. All right, so I brought up a quick map here of Istanbul. Over on the left, you have the European side. On the right here, you have the Asian side. Down the middle here, you have the Bosphorus, runs into the Golden Horn here. And we're going to be in the district of Beyoğlu here, right in the neighborhood of Tarlabaşı, which is right near Taksim Square. So now we can get a little closer here. I kind of outlined the neighborhood of Tarlabaşı. So it's right by Taksim Square there. This is the popular pedestrian street Istiklal. So just above it, almost parallel, is Tarlabaşı Boulevard. And everything north above here is Tarlabaşı. If you can picture a hill, it's a very steep hill. You're at the top here, and it goes down towards the bottom here. On Sundays, during the market kind of starts over here towards the top on a couple steep hills. So you'd go down the steep streets here. They're lined with market stands, and you get down to a main road here, which is already lined with different shops like markets, barbershops, restaurants, things like that. it's always pretty busy here, but on Sundays they line it on both sides with market stands, and then it's also mostly covered too. But then towards the end here, you're going to open up into the light here, into a large square. It's right by a mosque here, a supermarket, and a big wall here. And this is a great area to come any day of the week because this is where people like to hang out, and there's good light here towards the end of the day. But on Sundays it's even better because it's even more busy. So you're going to see, normally you would see maybe kids playing soccer or football, or people hanging out. They like to hang out along the wall here, or any of the potted plants, things like that. You're just going to always see quite a bit of life here. And you're going to see photos from the square here. You're going to see photos from the market, and then also exploring some of the side streets here. So let's get into that. But first, let me give you just a quick idea of how we're going to do this. Normally, when you look at a photo, it's just, do you like the photo or not? But when you're trying to learn from photos, you can ask a few more questions. If you're looking at through your photos, definitely, or even other people's photos. For this exercise, I want to share the most insights and give you the best idea of the things that I was going for, or how I approach a scene, or just how to look at photos. So I'm going to cover a lot more questions than you would normally ask, just for the purpose of this video. But we're going to go over things like, first off, what works, what doesn't work, and I'm going to do this all on the top, off the top of the head, so it's going to be pretty candid. So I did select around 20 photos that I think will be good for this, because there's things that are working, but then there's things that are not, so I can provide the most kind of insight behind it. So things like, what was I going for, what grabbed me? I think when you look at a photo that you took, you should be able to at least to say what grabbed you or what you like about it. Maybe it's an instinctual shot, but there's probably still something you can point out that grabbed you. I'll explain anything that maybe is bothering me about the photo, or I wish could have been, either because I could have done something different, or maybe it was just out of my hands and I wanted something to happen that didn't happen. I'll explain the different ways that maybe I could have done something differently, or I'll also explain how I approach the scene, and also any challenges that I may have run into, because when you look at a photo, you don't know what really happened. You don't see outside the frame. Maybe you look at a photo and you're like, why didn't the photographer move to the right? But you don't know what is to the right. Maybe it was too messy. There's a lot of different choices you have to make when you're making photos, and there's a lot of different challenges. So we'll go touch on that too, and then just kind of an overall feeling and any lessons taken or emphasized from looking through the photos. So this is an exercise for learning and sharing different insights, but I don't want to get too focused on looking at every photo like this, because photos really shouldn't be technically broken apart like that all the time. If a photo works, it just works. So I just want to keep that emphasized too. But for this, we're going to start breaking them down. All right, so let's get into Lightroom now. So here's the photos. We'll go to the start here. They're in order. So we'll start here. So this was the first shot of the day. This was when I was walking towards the market. We're at the top of Tarlabaşı now, right by that boulevard I was talking about. But Tarlabaşı is built on a big hill, so you're going to have a lot of areas where you have really great light, if it's sunny out, of course, but then you're gonna have a lot of areas where it's completely covered in shadow. Obviously this area is covered in light, so I stopped here when I noticed him and the nice light and the lines here. Just gave him a quick look over the scene, but then I saw the cat running by, and it's kind of an instinctual shot. I just squatted down and took it. I like the cat running up here. I like the lines in him, but I don't like the left side. It's off balance. There's really nothing here. The angle's not the best either, but this part's okay, but this part ruins it for me. So there's not enough there, but it was the first shot of the day. So then we go down a little bit. We're still far away enough from the market that there's not a lot going on yet, but I stopped here because you had nice light and shadow play here. You had the mirror sitting here in the street, and I noticed how if anybody walked by into the light, it would reflect into the mirror like that. So I waited here for a few people to walk by. Again, it wasn't too busy, so I didn't get any action really, but out of the few people I saw, she was the most interesting. I liked the color here, and I liked that she looked at the mirror. I'm sure she looked because I was looking at the mirror, but I like this connection here. I like the effect of the mirror against the shadow. Maybe it could be a little closer. I got what I wanted mostly though, but it needs something more probably, but they're nice, so it's okay. Here is really a common scene actually in Tarlabaşı. Kids playing, especially playing in the little windows here. So I saw them playing and their friends coming over. What I liked about the scene is the different stuff going on. There's some interesting flow and gesture here. He's kind of hanging and swinging on this rope here. She's on her tippy toes there. So I like them. I took a few shots and this had the best flow. What I don't like so much is I couldn't really get too much closer. I would have cut them off, but it feels a little flat to me. The left and right side isn't really helping, and I could maybe use something in the foreground because it just feels flat and far away. But there was nobody walking by. I did actually wait for some foreground, but nothing of interest happened. But they're kind of nice. But again, it needs something more to bring me in. This was a quick shot. She was coming around the corner here, running, and obviously she stands out holding the two bright balloons, and she's actually wearing pink and red too. So I took this shot really quick as she ran by. When I took the shot, I noticed I already saw the child over here, and then I knew she was coming out the door and closing it. So I timed it when she was right in the middle of them. So I like that there's three things going on. I like her balloons. She's interesting too. I kind of like her look, but not loving the angle of this. She's really running out of the scene. This is just kind of awkward for me. So I really don't like her angle. I do like the balloons. I do like that I did catch her in the middle here, and there's some flow there, but this angle here, I wish it was a little more towards me or a little more on the side of her. But she kept running down the hill. So this was the only shot I was able to get. So a very common scene here too, especially on the weekends, are people washing their carpets out here. This girl here was washing the carpet, spraying it down with the hose, and then she went in to get another carpet to clean. And then I saw her talking to her mom, who's up here actually, and I knew something would happen because the mom had a carpet up there. So I didn't know exactly that she was going to throw it, but all of a sudden she threw the carpet and I was ready to take the shot. So I like that I caught the carpet in midair there. I like her looking up like that. The color of this carpet is nice too. I don't like that that her feet are cut off. There wasn't a whole lot I could do because I'm actually against the opposite wall on the street, so I'm as far back as I can possibly get, and I definitely didn't want to cut this off here because I wanted to catch it in air. So if in a perfect world I would have been a little further back. I don't know if that would have really made it a great shot, but there's something here. At least there's something of interest here. I like the effect of the carpet caught in midair like that, and it's a very classic character of Tarlabaşı here with the carpet here and the walls. Now we're getting into the market. This right here, this man's selling bread. I was just playing around with this, trying to catch the nice light that was hitting the stand, and then catching different things through the windows here of the stand. So sometimes I like to play with frames within frames and light and things like that. There's really nothing. I did catch a few different people walking by in the frame, but there's really nothing strong, specifically strong happening. It's more just kind of visual, and visually it's also kind of a mess too, so it didn't work. But sometimes you can get something doing that. Now we're into the market where it's covered, coming down the steep hill. Again, I don't love markets, partly because they always look like markets, so it's hard to get anything that is really that unique. But here I saw he's in the light here, even though the background shadow, so his face really stands out. And then I saw this man here with a cigarette, kind of a silhouette almost. And then I used these lights here because without the lights, there would have been so empty. So this adds a little, it catches your eye, kind of adds some balance, his head, and then the two lights up here and then right here. So, I mean, the light and shadow is kind of nice. Again, there's nothing strong enough, though, for me to really like this photo. Here, we're more towards the bottom now of the market, and first thing was the colors attracted me here. So you have the tomatoes, the red of the tomatoes here. I like these clothes hanging out for sale here, the yellow and the animal print there. And then she came over wearing a nice red. So you have really nice colors here, and you have a few things going on. The light is obviously really nice too. You have light and shadow, but you have her here, you have the Mickey Mouse here, you have her, the hands here, and then you have this girl. The girl's probably the strongest part. So when I first came, the girl wasn't there, so I took a couple photos, and then when the girl came, I got her looking. So that probably brings the viewer's eyes the most. But overall, she's pretty far away. So I think overall it's just visually pleasing, but there's nothing really happening and nothing really strong. It's still just a market with nice colors and light. And this space needs something too, I feel like. This is another market scene, but the light is nice here. I like the wall, the color there, and then his red cap here. They both hit the light nice. The light really brings out the vegetables too. And his looks okay, but again, it's just a market scene. It's a market worker, but the colors and light are nice, but there's just not enough uniqueness to it. Another reason I don't love markets is because of the light. When they're covered like this, everything's dark, especially if you like working in color. It's hard to get a good color shot when everything's dark. So here I saw that he was scratching his head for a bit, and then it almost looked like he was holding the light bulb like that. That's really what I was going for. And I did like, even in the darkness, the carrots stand out. There's some color here going on, but really it's just kind of dark, and it doesn't work. Now we're in a little bit more light. Here's a stand. He's pushing around, and you see these a lot running, being pushed down the streets, and they all have mirrors here. So I was trying to catch some reflections. I noticed the way this man was. This is actually a reflection of his other arm there. So I was seeing there's always people moving constantly. So it's almost a luck. It's almost luck if you really capture anything good, but there's a possibility that you might catch something going on here that's interesting, and here. So I changed different angles. I was moving around a lot, but overall it's just a mess, but it's worth trying once in a while. Here I was walking, and this boy kept looking at me, and he's pretty interesting with the nice red here and this blue and red cap, and I like the expression too. So he's cute. And then, so I was taking a couple photos. He really stands out with the color. And then this woman came by. She was kind of interesting too. I wish she was a little more in the light. So I took the photo when they both were pretty much even, at even distance from me. But everything else is a mess, like markets usually are. So you have all these heads and overlapping. And then you have also, because it's actually sunny out, but then it's covered. So you have the highlights over there. Overexposed because you're working the shadows, so it's a little too messy then for that. Now we're getting a little bit outside of the market, and there's like in Istanbul you see everywhere, or Turkey in general, men drinking tea at tea houses. So these men are off to the side drinking tea. What first attracted me really were the lines here. You have these ropes here creating kind of a geometry with the different lines, and then you have this pole here, divides the two men, two on each side. So I took a few shots. So I tried to include quite a bit of the lines here and then get them at the bottom. And I waited until, because at first everyone was staring at me, but then I waited till they both took a drink of their tea to get some gesture, and so they weren't all staring at me, and use this to divide. So it's okay. I don't like this right here. I wish there was more ropes here to create more balance. There's a lot more going on here, and this is kind of not helping. So it's a little off balance for me, but that's what I was going for. Here's a street that's nice. If you come here, it gets shadow, takes over pretty, not too late in the day, so you have to get here around noon at the latest. But when you do, there's always nice light here, and you'll have a lot of things happening. This is a main street where people walk down, and then you'll have, like you see here, men hanging out here, and then usually have kids playing up here. You can't really see it, but just to the side there's a swing set that goes circular, but it's actually closed down. It was roped up, but there's always kids playing up here and people hanging out. So I was trying to catch different things happening with the people up here and then the people here and the nice light, and there's kind of nice character here with the crumbling buildings and the color. But the problem was that there was just too much overlapping. There was just people walking, so there's too much overlapping here, and there's really nothing specific happening that's that interesting, so it just doesn't work. But I think there is a photo here. Someday there's a photo here because it has a nice background. You just need something to happen. Here, actually, if we go back here, this is just right up here on the wall. You can't see, but on this side here. And what attracted me here is the nice light, obviously, and the color, the nice red. And then when I first walked up there, I saw the two cats, the black cat and this cat up here. So I took a shot of that, actually, and then that's obviously not enough. But then I saw this boy come over here. He's got a nice yellow pants here, and then I liked how he was sticking his head in there, and he stood like that for a while. I think he was waiting for somebody. So I liked this up here, but it was too flat, and there was nothing here really, and there's distractions up above here. So then I waited for something in the foreground to come, and then this boy ran by, so I caught him in there, which I do think helps quite a bit, getting him in the foreground. And his expression's kind of funny. I don't dislike it. So I think a lot of times you'll have nice backgrounds, even not just necessarily backgrounds, but where there's actually subjects and things like that, but it's going to be too flat, even if it's interesting. So a lot of times you need something in the foreground, especially if there's no midground too. So it's good to add something in the foreground. It doesn't even necessarily always have to be the strength of the photo, just something to give it a little more depth. So far this photo is the best of the day so far, but I don't know if there's enough, but I like this photo all right. It's okay. Okay, so now we're at the square that I was talking about by the mosque and the supermarket. This is the wall where you always see usually men hanging out here, smoking, things like that. Sometimes you'll have kids playing football or soccer here, and they use this as a goal. Not on this day or at this time though, but I stood around this potted plant here, and the light's really nice, and I tried to get something here by putting this man in the middle of the branch here. I like the wall here. This part's okay too, I guess. You have different textures and the two buildings there. So overall it's nice. It's a little flat though, and I could have used something in the foreground maybe. I don't think there's enough here, but I got basically what I was going for. I just wanted something more to happen really, but it didn't. Then later a little more happened. I decided to get a little closer and try to play around and use the leaves and the branches. Sometimes I like to try to blend the environment in with the life, so using the different environment for framing. So here I framed the men in between the branches, and then I had this boy here, he's on rollerblades. He went and he rollerbladed to the wall and then turned around and started rollerblading, so I timed it till he was right there. So I like the men here. I like him. I don't like this guy sticking out of the leaf. So that doesn't help, but I like this part right here. I'm not liking this space above here. It's a little off balance, I think. There's really not enough here, right? It needs to be more focused on the strengths. This is just to the right, same wall. The mosque goes up here. So when I first saw this, it was just her standing there looking, and I liked her red here, and then I liked this man right here. So the shadows and the railing here, they kind of frame him a little bit there, and then the lines here and her, this is all nice. And then she came up, her friend here, and then pointed. So that's when I took the photo. That's what triggered me to take the photo there. What I don't like is this part right here, which is almost half the frame. There's really nothing adding to it. Nothing of interest up here. It's not particularly visually pleasing either up here. So I like them right here, but this kind of ruins it for me. Also, her pointing doesn't add anything because it just blends into her similar colored jacket here, so you can't even really see that she's pointing. But again, there's parts that I like, but it's just kind of half the scene. Here's, other than that one photo with the boy in the foreground and the cats, the colorful wall, this was probably the next best shot, I think, just first impression. But I like that the frame is really filled to the edges. When you're working layers, it's kind of a balance you have to find, because you want to fill the frame up as much as you can, or at least fill the frame up. You want it to bring you in. So if you're too far away, then the layers lose their impact. So you want to fill the frame, but you don't want to fill it too much where it ruins the shot by things kind of going out of the edges. So I think this is about as close as I could have gotten. I didn't cut her eyes off. His head's in there. So I like that how the frame's filled here. I like her look. I like the flow here. There's a lot going on. Pretty much everything is filled with something of interest. So you have a nice flow here. He's looking that way, he's looking that way, she's looking towards me, he's going out that way, and then even this area here, you have two children up there, and then the boy here, and then you have a nice character of Tarlabaşı with the different graffiti filling. So it's a very there's a lot of atmosphere, and I like the layers here. It's all pretty filled. So this is a shot I'd have to come back to. I don't know if there's enough here, but I think it works better than pretty much any of the other shots, except for maybe one so far. Okay, so we're gonna, I think, finish with this shot. I don't want to be talking forever, make the video too long, but this shot here is a shot that what first attracted me was the light here is kind of colored. So you have the everything's in shadow here, so you have the concrete out here, and then has a light in here, and it's some fluorescent or some type of light where it brings out a almost turquoise-ish coloring. So it really kind of stood out if I exposed correctly. So I didn't want it to be too dark out here, but I exposed it that the color was brought out enough with the light. So I like that. And then there's a cat here. So when I first took the shot, I was framing it with her cleaning here and the cat here. And then, which something that actually happens quite a bit in Tarlabaşı and some of these very local neighborhoods, somebody from some window behind me, I don't even know, they yelled to her that I was taking a photo. And I don't even know where it came from, but I heard someone yell out a window, and then she looked up, and you can see here she wasn't happy. So she told me to leave pretty quick. But I kind of like it. I actually like the shot where she looked up at me better than this shot where she was just cleaning. It brings a little more life to the shot and brings you in a little bit more. Even this shot's kind of funny, but so we're gonna finish with that. Actually, maybe we'll finish it with one more cat shot. So this is just a fun shot using geometry and stuff. If you haven't been to Istanbul, Istanbul's filled with cats like no other city is, and Tarlabaşı is probably even more than most areas. So there's cats everywhere. I really like the black cats, how they really stand out, and then you can see their eyes. So this cat was up there, and the cat really stands out, and then you have the nice lines here framing the cat in. So a really simple shot, but a fun one to finish with. So we'll finish with that, and then I'll come back and give you a quick recap and tell you where I'm going to next. So let's get to it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed looking through the photos like that, and you got kind of a sense of the character in Tarlabaşı. If you're ever in Istanbul, definitely come check it out for photos. Sunday, again, is the best day really to come. Also, I hope you learned something from that. I think to recap a little bit, it's kind of the same stuff. You need to get up close, fill the frame, find unique interest. When you're working a market like that, you're going to have some areas where you don't have a lot of light, so look at the light, see where the light's hitting, things like that. And when you're at a market, definitely explore everywhere. I like to go a couple streets over from the main market area, because when markets happen, they bring all the locals out, and they're not all just shopping, they're hanging out. You just have a lot of life all around the whole area of a market. So come to markets, but explore the whole area, especially when you're in a neighborhood like Tarlabaşı. So, like I said, I'm about to leave Istanbul. The next place is Belarus, Minsk. I really didn't have a lot of choice right now. I'm waiting to get back to my home base in Asia, but the borders are all closed, and lately more and more borders have been closing. So right now, Minsk is about the only place that doesn't have a shutdown. Istanbul is completely pretty much shut down now. Total lockdown on the weekends, curfew every day, and police everywhere stopping you. It's pretty crazy right now. So it's kind of a good thing my visa was running out, because I wouldn't want to be here too much longer now. But yeah, we're going to Minsk, so that means I'm going to bring you some interesting content. I've never been there. I'll probably add it to my major city work, even though it's finished. But I'm excited to go there. It's going to be snowing. I really haven't been in snow for many years, because working the project, I was always kind of following the summer. But now I'm going to have some time there, and hopefully in a month I can maybe get back to my home base. We'll see. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. We're going to do more of these photo walk talks. Feel free to send me any questions or additions you want to see in these photo walks. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.